Welcome to Rye Brook Focus. My name is John Mugno, and I'll be your host for today's session. My guest today is Michael Goldstein, who founded the Foster Teen Employment Network in 2011. Sometimes it's called the FTEN Group. Michael is the chairman of its board of directors and also the executive director of the organization. After speaking with Michael, it is clear to me that he is very active in this organization. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, John.
Michael, maybe you start us at the beginning. FTEN was founded in 2011 by you. What prompted you to found this organization?
Well, I call it sort of a natural progression in my life, okay, where I am still a practicing adoption lawyer, okay, and at some point in time, I began to focus on the youth that did not get adopted, and I'm really going to introduce here, you and I've spoken to, but for the listeners, there is a group of youth out there that none of us know existed until I started doing this, for example, and whenever I speak about it, most people don't know, okay, that this group of youth, and now I will describe them, okay, youth are removed by the state from their parents because their parents do terrible things to them. They wind up in foster care. And when they're 18 or sometimes 21, but usually 18, they age out of the system. So that's a group most of us don't know about. Very often we may even call them ghosts because they may be hiding from the system, but it's a group where at least half of them become homeless within 6 months. They commit crimes because of that. And at this point, as we've learned scarily, they are the #1 target of the gangs because they have no one else. So that's why I started FTEN. Okay, with the idea, I thought to myself, oh, I can get them employment, okay, and that will solve all their problems. And that it became very, very different than that as the agency grew. Okay, it's an all life encompassing.
Oh, as you say, the goal of the FTEN organization is to prepare foster teens for life outside of the foster care system. It specifically mentions helping them find a job, a stable living situation, and if needed, a permanent adult figure to provide guidance. Could you amplify on those goals, Michael?
Well, like I started to say, that the goal is employment, okay, because I believe that is what will keep them off the street. However, they come from a system which has really given them very little in life skills. So, like I mentioned, many of them become homeless. So we are working with different real estate agents and different offices in the county and in the city, because our FTENs, by the way, do not just come from Rye Brook or Westchester. They're all over New York State. So we have to develop a resource wherever we can. But the idea of housing, okay, to keep a job, you need a resume. Half my FTENs, because we call the kids FTENs also, half my FTENs at least don't have resumes when they come to me. And again, they've been in a system where they should be taught to have a resume, but they don't have a resume. An expression one of the youth once told me is, makes me angry and laugh at the same time because it's so silly, but the worker that was working with him says, well, you never worked anywhere, so you don't have anything to put on a resume. So to me, I start that with, well, we have a name and we have a phone number. Wow, we have the top of your resume already done. Okay, what else can we do? Do you like opening doors for people when they're holding big bags of groceries, things like that? Do you help people across the street if they need. That's the type of things that we can even put on resumes. So the idea of resumes, I'll talk about it more later. Also, they don't come to me. They're 18, but they don't come to me with driver's licenses either. Okay. The reason for that was, well, you don't have a car, you don't need a driver's license. They do have state IDs, okay, but not a driver's license. And let's take my idea of employment, John, during COVID especially. Who was hiring? It was FedEx, Amazon, all the food delivery companies on top of that, okay, but you needed a driver's license for every one of those jobs. So, it really made a big dent, okay, during our ability to do things at that point. Clothing, same idea, okay, and again, go back to housing. Housing's a place where, person can shower and change clothing. So that's one of the reasons that we really are working on that issue. The other part of it is another one of our newest programs is called wellness. Okay, it's whatever the youth need in wellness, which could be meditating, it could be just how to eat right. Okay, so it's sort of styled in the direction that the youth would need.
Now
That gets to the bottom of that.
So this seems very sensible, what you're saying, and I know you can't speak for them, but what did the state or the authority that had put them into foster care, what did they think was going to happen when they were just out of foster care with no particular resources to deal with getting a life started?
You said something very important. I use the word resources. Okay, resources in the state means money. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, luckily I've been able to work with our local county legislators, our local senator and congressman. Okay, and we're beginning to get some money aimed at this group of kids because, again, they didn't think it existed. They just thought, like anybody else, they would just go and get a job and that's the end of it all. So not to fault them at all, but things are available, okay, but the children need to be motivated. I will use that wording, okay, and often aren't motivated enough to go to a class on resume writing and things like that. They rather just sit around the group home and watch TV. So that's, again, I don't think it's the fault of anybody. People don't, I think, be able to look ahead because they're out of their peripheral vision by that point of time. Okay, I've taken care of you, good luck. Here's your bus pass for the month, good luck. Okay, and just to give you an idea of numbers, there's about, across the country, there's about 20,000 of these youth that age out every year. So think of that 5 years, then you get 100,000 homeless people sort of floating out there that we created, because I use, it's our fault. Okay, we are the ones who should make sure the foster care system works right if we can. But there's a lot of them. This is not a small group.
Now, I understand from what we've said before is that there's no hard and fast stopping point for the assistance that you provide. But I'm sure the type of help you give and what advice you offer kind of changes over time. So after you've encountered someone and they're 18 and have aged out, or 21, as you say, and have aged out of the foster care system, how long do you find that they're involved with your organization? Is there any guideline or a typical amount of time?
I'll use the wording, they're eligible forever. Different than, we're very unique, in my research at least, okay, except for one place in California, we are the only group that focuses on this group of foster youth that age out. Okay, a lot of other groups include, like homeless. Homeless would include one of them, but homeless includes many people that were never in foster care, certainly. We're the only group that focuses on the foster kids that age out. We don't find them often when they're 18 either, John. You know, we find them when they're 26. I have one who's 35 that we're sort of finished working with, okay, because he's pretty established and doing what he needs to do, okay, to manage a coffee shop, okay, that, you know, we have actually, it started right here in Rye Brook, okay, in the Starbucks here, okay, that's where he started, okay, and, you know, 5 years later, okay, he's now managing a coffee shop in Dutchess County. So there's no age limit to that. My youth stay in touch with me. I get a wonderful text that I got just the other day was from, and I can use her name, Sarah, okay, who essentially, Sarah was not sure what she wanted to do. We helped her with her college application, because that's another problem that we see. Less than 4% of these kids go to college, okay, because there are no motivation there. They don't have a mother or father to sit down and fill out an application on a computer with them. Most of them don't even have computers. Okay, so when we talk about partners, we'll talk about the STEM Alliance, which is helping with that issue. But the idea of that is there is no specific idea of this, but Sarah wrote me the other day and said, because she said she wanted to go to nursing school, we got her into help her fill out an application in Rutgers, where she went to nursing school in New Jersey. Okay, her aunt helped her. Her aunt did help her with housing and stuff like that, so things were working good. And she just wrote me that March 21st was her last final, and she's graduating. Oh, it's good. Like, to me, that's yay. All right, what a great feeling. Well, I need to help. I've already offered her. You know, I know 6 different hospitals. Okay, and you know, when she's ready and gets her license. But that's the idea of it's the door and the phones are open. You know, we carry this cell phone goes with me, is on, except for now, okay, is on 99.99% of the time.
So it sounds like it's a fairly open-ended commitment until you and the foster teen can think that they've reached a stable balance.
That's where I will say the most of the energy stops at that point, but there's a continued relationship thereafter. Okay, many, not all, but many of our foster youth from years ago, write here or there, or I write to them. We actually have their birthdays are in our calendar, so we always wish them happy birthday. Okay, things like that. So there's no reason to stop staying in touch. Okay. One of them is on my board, okay, for example. Okay, Dottie's on my board. So and they come back to help out. And they also help when I need it. They help other FTENs also. Okay, we actually hired our first, she's called a youth peer advocate, Haja, okay, who was not an FTEN. She found us afterwards, okay, but okay, she's been through the system, and she has a car, can drive FTENs around where we need them driven. I delivered a whole bunch of stuff that was donated by one of our partners to one of our new FTENs in Queens, for example.
So you really have a pretty big geographic scope for your organization.
Yes.
Well.
We have there were 2 F10s in Buffalo, so we can stretch it that far.
Now,
who of course became stranded because they ran out of gas during the big snowstorm.
Your website says that 70 people are currently being helped. That you have 20 partners involved, and the 2022 budget is $145,000. But how many people have participated in the program over time? It's been in existence now for 10 years or so.
Interesting question. Okay, with the idea that the 70, I'll call it sort of, that are still on the active, it could be something very small. Okay, even like we got a crib for one of the F10s that just needed a crib. Okay, and no one else was around, or she didn't know where else to go, that type of idea. So the 70 include people like that, that can be just
Right.
a one-time, one sort of smash. But then we've got very, very active. I'd say we have at this point, actually coming in this afternoon, there's another 13. Okay, we have 13 that are incredibly active. I mean, literally almost every day, either me, I have an MSW, Samantha, a student, okay, who is here 3 days a week. I have a part-time assistant, okay, who's here 2.5 days a week. And now we have Haja also, who works about 26 hours a week. So between the four of us, we're able to help, this 10 to 12 at any point in time that are literally almost daily. And it could be anything, okay, with regards, like I just sent somebody $33 to buy a weekly Metro card so she could get back and forth, okay, between her friend in Brooklyn and where she's in a homeless shelter up in Washington Heights. So it's little things like that that keep them active. The partners can be both ends, as I call it. Okay, the partners for that we work with, like Children's Village. Okay, they help us find it. They refer F10s to us, for example, because they have the foster youth that are aging out. To the other partner I wanted to mention is STEM Alliance. Okay, which is a fantabulous group. Okay, who are helping the world to get Wi-Fi into places where Wi-Fi doesn't exist, and handing out Chromebooks, okay, to people that need Chromebooks. So now my F10s don't need to fill out an application on a phone. They'll get a Chromebook to be doing that, okay, from that partner. Our biggest, I guess, I shouldn't say biggest, but our biggest impact on a program has been Formula Driving School in Mamaroneck, okay, that actually gave us, for the price of one child, they gave us 5 driving schools to get a driver's license. Okay, so far only one of our kids has participated, another one just starting. Okay, but our youth, after 3 tries, okay, at the driver's test, she has her driver's license. Okay, she's also on the other side. She's got her job in a big fashion store, is now being, with our coaching and helping and how to negotiate. Okay, she's now probably being promoted to an assistant store manager in that department. So it's things that again don't end, but that's our partners sort of are both ends like that. Okay, and our partners, for example, I'm wearing the pin, the Rotarians help us find jobs. Okay, I'm helping this will, one of the things at the end, I'm hoping people that listen to this will help us find jobs. Okay, because that's obviously what we need. Okay, we need, I'll use the wording jobs that come with, I'll call it for want of better words, a mentor, John. Okay, but it's someone who will know that a youth is coming to them with very little experience in, I'll call it life, okay, as we see it. Okay, the idea of dressing appropriately for a job. Okay, and it's going to be, and we talk to our employers directly. Okay, with the idea of give them a little leeway, teach them. Okay, don't fire somebody for wearing inappropriate clothing or showing up late 3 times. Okay, explain to them first, give them more chances than you would give my own children, who I taught how to, that type of idea. Does that answer that question? Because I thought there were 3 components. We had the partners. Oh, the budget.
Yeah.
So the budget, we came up with the budget of $145,000 for this year. I think we're actually going to have another board meeting soon, okay, to try to probably triple that budget if we can.
Ah,
Okay, because the idea is we would want, one of the things I want to do is hire at least two more youth peer advocates because they're fabulous to go out into the field, okay, and help the FTENs like one on one. I'm only one person. I can't help five F10s in one day, okay, yeah, with something physical that needs to be done in person necessarily. But we were open during the whole of COVID. You know, I've gone into homeless shelters during that time to rescue, one or two kids during that time. But it's spreading. That's the way to describe it. It came as an idea, like we talked about in 2011. It was an idea. Okay, and it's just a wonderful thing to be able to talk to people like you and the people that will listen. That there's a group out there, of kids. Okay, they're not our kids. Okay, but there's a group out there that no one knows about and would really need our help. So I'm hoping from that budget. Okay, we hired what's called a development officer. Okay, Brenda is now our development officer who's helping us apply to family foundations. Okay, we'll turn her eyes soon to the different county type of budgets that are around. But to give you an idea and a pat on the back to Senator Shelley Mayer, who listened to me with the idea this is a statewide issue. It's not just a county-wide issue. Now, these kids are released and they'll go anywhere. They're not just because they're released from Westchester, they don't necessarily stay in Westchester. Okay, they could commit a crime up in Albany. Who knows where they're going? Okay, but like my idea again, I will point out, okay, our biggest competitor is a fantastically organized business called the gangs. Okay, and the gangs prey on these kids. So Senator Shelley Mayer gave us a grant from her funds that she has accessible, and I'm trying to work with her on to make this group into what's called the protected category, like race, like this same idea, to be able to say you can't discriminate against someone because they were in foster care, okay, because that happens, even some of our employers that we try to get for these kids, okay, wow, I don't want to start with trouble. Okay, it's not the kid's fault that he wound up in foster care. It's his parents' fault. Okay, and you're the one that's going to save him. That's the way I look at it.
yeah,
So
that's
we are going to try to get more funds again from the family foundations and from the county. The county social services department's been interesting. There is some money there for these kids, but very little money. Okay, because they're not kids anymore, and the social service that department is known as the Office of Children and Family Services, works with children, okay, and families and things. And this is not, sort of doesn't fit exactly. Okay, so we're out there. Our development officer will hopefully be guiding us in the right direction.
now the other part of the question I had was, though, as you said, you have 70 active right now. How many people do you think you've helped over the 10 years the program's been in existence?
All right. Interesting question, only because we can't count them all, because if I'm going to say the idea of probably not that much more than 70 directly, meaning I gave a crib to someone, okay, that's something that we can see and we can put a finger on, okay, but we've helped hundreds of kids over the years. I've taught, okay, because it was before actually FTEN wasn't not-for-profit until 2017. So a little before that and a couple of times after that also, I've actually gone to, there is a what's called Youth in Progress meetings, okay, where I have 300 people, okay, youth, okay, at a meeting like that, okay, which is run by the county. I'm sorry, it's run by the state. Okay, and there was one that we spoke in Harpog out on Long Island, and we also spoke here in, where was it? It was in northern Westchester. I'm forgetting where exactly. Okay, but we talked about, there's 300 F10s, okay, because about to age out, or some of them had aged out already, okay, that are there. Okay, and I was proud to say I was the only non-government official, okay, on a panel of 6, for example, out in Hauppauge, okay, where one of the youths was just, she was still in the group home and said, we need a new couch. And we've been needing a new couch for years. Okay. And so the government person said, well, I'll mark it down. Let me look into it. And I said, what address is it? Okay. I'll get you one there tomorrow. Because, I'm going to go on Facebook. Okay. I'm going to go to their Facebook site there and say, a group home in your area. Okay. And if you go on Facebook, everybody's trying to give away couches. So that's the difference in how we work. So I've helped, I can proudly say I've helped hundreds of these kids. Okay. Have they been directly FTENs on our statistics? No. Okay.
I have to say, as a person who's, in a way being introduced to this issue, what has surprised me the most from my conversations with you and what you've said today is that the authorities don't seem to be able to deal with the fact that they're launching people into the wider world, a number of whom don't really have the skills to deal with that wider world right away. That to me is a little surprising. You think they would have kind of prepared before this to kind of give coaching, mentoring, things like that. The kinds of things you give them, they would have given them when they were in foster care, but that doesn't seem to be what happens.
And it's not a question I can answer because I don't know why.
Right.
I just see it. They say it's done. Okay, I've been at meetings of government officials that have essentially said, we don't need you, Michael, we do what you do. Okay, and then my response is then, why did I just get made up name Johnny, okay, who's 19 and has no driver's license? Okay, that's so again, it's a two-edged. Does the person have time? Meaning, does the caseworker have time? Does the caseworker have the ability, okay, to do it? And on the other side, does the foster youth show any initiative, okay, to do any of this? Okay, we actually we have a counseling program. Well, that's another. Again, at the end, we'll talk more how people can help us. We have a counseling program now, okay, where I'm not kidding, okay, I checked it, and I wanted to check the ethics of it, okay, for our FTENs that attend a counseling session with me or Samantha, for example, or another social worker that we use as a partner, okay, if they attended, they get $15. Okay, so instead of paying the counselor, the counselee gets paid. Okay, some initiative to get them off the couch, I will say, and talk to somebody about. There's a wonderful book from Oprah. Okay, what happened to you? Okay, and this what happened to them is trauma. I mean, every one of them, okay, has sustained tremendous trauma. Okay, to get where they are, and tremendous trauma during their stay in foster care also. Okay, so yes, it's supposed to be done. I think they do know, and I think they do try. Okay, but it's I'm that one extra on the outside of that. Okay, that's able to reach in and say, hey, this is what we do. Right. Okay, and you can rely on us.
Now, how is it that you identify candidates who need to be helped? Do they come to you? Does the foster parent call on you? How are they identified?
You mentioned one of the ways we get from the actual foster parent. Okay, if a child is in a home with foster parents, so we have foster parents. We have, for example, another two of our partners. Like I mentioned, Children's Village. I'll mention the Connections, which is a mentoring program. Okay, actually, our newest FTEN is coming in this afternoon with his mentor from that program. And we're gonna be helping him with housing and get a job. Okay, so it's identified that way. It's identified by, for example, like I mentioned, going to the homeless shelters and handing out our I had it on my desk. It disappeared on my desk. Sorry, but our new colorful brochure. Okay, I will send to you. I don't know if you can attach it somehow. But the idea is homeless shelters are there. I have talked to the Rye Brook police, for example. Just the other day, I was speaking to Eric and gave him some brochures. And maybe that should be a question that comes up on an interview if you're arresting someone. Were you in foster care? Okay, so we get a better. I think it gives us a better handle, but it also gives us a better idea of, wow, okay, now this person can have us, okay, while they're in jail, can also have us access, okay, things that they need. Those are sort of our informal ways. With people just hear about us from the website. That's one of the things about, as you know, social media does these days. Okay, I purposely tag famous people in our Instagram, for example. We tag famous adoptees. Okay. Part of me is looking for money, John. Don't get me wrong, okay, but we don't get money that way usually.
Well, you have to function.
But the idea is there's a foster teen that came to us, for example, because she was trolling around on Instagram, and there we were. What's this foster teen employment network that's liking this famous person? So that's our ways, okay, of finding them. Okay, that's so far. We're spreading again. It's spreading. It's the best way to describe it. We've had more in the 3 months of this year than I think we had all of last year. Okay, combined. And maybe again, COVID is ending, so things are coming out of the woodwork that should have come out before. But it's there, and we're also spreading our word. So.
I think you've touched on this before with several of your partners you spoke about, but there are 20. Is there any that you haven't already spoken about that you think might be useful to highlight?
At this point, I would say, you have like the Rotarians. I'm a Kiwanian, same idea of getting jobs. The Rotarians and the Kiwanians both contributed to our driver's ed program, for example, to get it started. Okay, those are the only two that are sort of out there. Like the other ones are the different groups that are out there also. Okay, right. that do a lot of the helping, like connections, things like that. So, nothing specific in partners at this moment. We're looking for some champions, but I was going to talk about that in the last How Can We Help? We're looking for some champions, but that would be more with the line of, let me name a program after you, John, because you're going to give me a big chunk of money.
Let me ask this, another question goes back a little bit. So a person comes, they're a candidate to be helped. They want to be helped, which I suspect is part of the issue. They want to be helped. And do you then assign them a kind of mentor at that point? And then assuming that the relationship works out, they stay with the mentor for however long they need to?
It's a good question. What I'm trying to do with mentor, because there are mentoring groups out there. So what I'm trying to do is to combine the idea of employment with mentoring. Okay, so that would be, to get to your question, it would last as long as the employment's lasting and afterwards. Okay, like I talked about the nursing student and things like that. Okay, right. I was her mentor. Okay, but it's continuing. Okay, throughout that, I would expect the same thing for the youth that we've placed in the coffee shop, for example. Okay. He's still in touch with his original manager, who's no longer at the coffee shop. Okay, but those I think things like that will continue. Okay, we don't assign a mentor per se. Okay, like that, because if someone wants a mentor, okay, I'm gonna get either a volunteer through Bridget, for example, is in charge of our volunteers. I can get a volunteer to sort of be helping them, whether it be fill out a college application, for example, okay, something like that, okay. I can get a volunteer to do that, Okay, the idea of the mentor is important, okay, but the idea of getting a mentor attached to their employment to me is more important at this moment. Okay, because we can connect them, the mentor and like I said this afternoon, the mentor is bringing in, the new F10. Okay, and he's going to help him fill out. He doesn't have a driver's license. He's going to help him fill out he's going to help him get a learner's permit, because that's not part of our driver's ed program. Okay, so that type of idea where mentors can come in and be able to do things physically with the youth. That again, just the four of us just don't have that capacity to do them all.
Right.
So I hope that answers the question, because we don't assign mentors like that. It's more I'm looking for mentors in employment. We can be there. I'll call it counselors in life. Okay, but not as a mentor, where you go out to lunch or dinner with a mentor or things like that. But like I said, I think part of a mentor is, like we send birthday announcements, we send them a birthday card, okay, for life. Okay, until we lose track of them, and that's I do want to raise that. We do lose track of a number of our F10s. Some, I think, like I mentioned, fall prey to the gangs. Okay, which as a very good business model, sell themselves as phenomenal and housing and all that stuff and jobs. But the idea of it is it just sort of, they go back to live with their birth parents because the job didn't work out. Or what we're finding now also is, again, one of the things, again, another arm is going to reach out somewhere. Okay, we don't really have their medical records from when they were in foster care. Okay, I have at least 3 now. Okay, those from our daily batches, I will call them. Okay, I have 3 of them. Okay, that again, I have a social work degree also, so my social work background, that they are definitely have been on medication in the past. And a lot of times, by the way, okay, one of the issues that came up was that children in foster care are medicated to keep them quiet. So was the diagnosis of ADD correct or not is the question. So, but we do have 3 of our F10s now. They have tough times keeping jobs. Okay, they are just can't do it. Okay, and I want to work out something with, like, the American Psychiatric Association to try to get some of the psychiatrists, to do a freebie type of idea. They should be on Medicaid. These kids also, they're eligible for, of course, if they're not working, they have no income, so they should be eligible for Medicaid. Okay, should be eligible for psychological care through that. Okay, but to get through that system, you just need somebody to be walking you hand in hand through that whole system.
Yeah, I can see it's challenging.
Mm-hmm.
How would it sounds like, I don't mean to be obvious about this, but how do you define success? Is that the person 5 years after they meet the people in your organization are basically running an adult life more or less on their own? Is that would be success? But is that what success means? What does it mean?
Success is defined by the actual F10 themselves, the youth. Okay, again, some of them don't need jobs. Some of them are good. I'll use the word living off the system. It's fine. Okay, they have what we call Section 8 housing. Okay, they get into a nice apartment. Okay, they have a baby. Okay, and they receive welfare. And that's okay with them. But the success I would have, for example, with one that I mentioned, she needed a crib.
Right.
And we got her a crib, and she was very happy. I said, "We're here for anything else you need. You need bathing clothes." She said, "No, I get clothing from the church." And she's very able to take care of herself and does not need a job and wants to be. She's a full-time mom, as she describes it. Okay. So success is defined as what that F10 needed and may continue to need. Okay, and that may end, like I said, with the giving of a crib, okay, that may never end, okay, with the idea of needing care, needing Metro cards to even get to work, okay, things like that. That may just continue until such time. I would say they're both successful because the kid's off the street and is learning, okay,
Right.
how to live life. Okay, will they ever be successful by themselves? Like some people are. Okay, I don't know. Okay, we certainly have. Again, I'm sorry to go back. We certainly have, for example, Mercy, one of our first FTENs. Okay, she was in Westchester. It's expensive to live here in Westchester, John, even back then.
Right.
Okay, Mercy wanted to be an audiologist. That's the hearing doctors. Okay, but it's really expensive up here. Okay, I don't know how we got schools that we can get you in and things like that. And she was smart. Okay, and we decided let's look in Florida. She got into the University of Florida in Gainesville. So she's sort of out of my territory at that point, physically, but not mentally. But so I called again. I've done adoptions for so many years. I know adoption attorneys around the whole country. So I called my adoption attorney friend in Tampa, okay, and she called her friend in Gainesville, okay, and they essentially took over Mercy's responsibility. I'll use that word, and got her a little place to stay, got her a little used car, okay, and Mercy. Last I heard, okay, because I got a nice phone call and then a reference request from the university in Syracuse, the University Hospital in Syracuse. She's working as she's working as the chief audiologist there. So
That'll be a
if I need, but again, going back to what success, if I need something, I can also call Mercy and ask Mercy to do something for me.
So this, I guess where I'm going is that there's no predefined definition of success in your mind. It's just when the person gets into a life situation that's stable and they're happy with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I forgot. For example, one of our partners is Veterinary Emergency Group. Okay, who hires if I have an F10 that needs a job and likes animals. It's one of the things, again, success. But even in an initial interview, one of the things we'll ask John, close your eyes. Where would you like to be working and what would you like to be doing 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Okay. And if someone throws animals in there, I'm going to throw their resume at VED, certainly. Okay. And see if it sticks.
Right. Well, Michael, let's go on to then the other question I had is, how can the people who are listening to this Zoom call, how can they help you? What kind of assistance could the organization make use of?
Well, first thing I am going to throw out, okay, we need money. Okay, no doubt about it. Okay, so if you go to the website or to the Facebook sites, you just have to click on donate. If you want me, and this is sort of a new thing we've been doing, if you want me to name one of our programs after you, okay, and you're going to donate $5,000 or more, call me. Okay, and that way we can decide what program we're going to name after you. Okay, so that's the money issue. Okay.
Right.
You can watch for my birthday fundraiser that's coming on. I know this is going to be shown a lot at different times, but my birthday is in April, so my birthday fundraiser will come up on Facebook soon. But the other thing, so I speak at, for example, the religious institutions, okay, and Rotary, for example, both. Okay, but the idea of with the religious institution, they need money themselves. I don't ask them for money. So when I look at the community, and this is where I want you to get this word out, is I need employers who are willing to take, I'll call it that slight risk of someone who probably doesn't have the experience they may ask for. Okay, so I need employers. And again, that may not be you, John, but 50 other people that are employers. It's that type of getting the word out. Okay, so someone who's listening, okay, think about who you might know that needs somebody. One of the other programs, again, that will cost money is our idea is, and it came from my electrician and I were talking, that FTEN is going to provide some type of support for internships. Let's take the idea of the employer like the electrician who says, I'm getting old, okay, I work alone, I'd love to work with somebody and teach somebody, okay, but I can't afford to pay somebody. So one of the fundings we're looking for is that program of that FTEN will actually pay. The town of Rye did that. That's how we got one of my legal assistants from my law firm, okay, actually started that way. The town of Rye paid half, 50% of, they have high school seniors from Portchester that went into a program, which is, I would love all foster care kids to do this, but the high school seniors were required to do, I think it was 4 to 5 weeks of training how to work. Okay, and then we had a speed dating, okay, where we had literally 5 minutes, okay, to spend with each of those students, okay, as to who we wanted to hire and who they wanted to work for. Okay, and so the town paid for half, and we paid for half their salary. So that's the idea of this potential with employers. So if you have an employer that may not be able to afford but is willing to hire somebody, okay, maybe we can work out FTEN paying for part of that. So that's the employment part. The other thing that we need is housing. Okay, housing, as we know, is critical to just life in general. But for my employment, certainly we need housing, as I said, a place to shower, a place to brush your teeth and put on clean clothes. But the idea of housing, a number, I'd say at least half of our FTENs have come in their pockets. They have what we call is a voucher. Okay, voucher from Section 8 or New York City Housing or Westchester Housing Authority. Okay, they have a voucher, so I need a landlord that will accept that voucher. Okay, I've also thrown out the idea when I speak about housing where maybe someone has an elderly person in their family where the house is empty and the elderly person could use somebody to live with them and help them. And that would be something that would be another idea that I've been throwing at the religious institutions that I speak to. Okay, so it combines the job with the housing at the same time.
Right.
And that's pretty much, again, if you're listening to this, you can save a kid's life. That's the best way I'll describe it. Okay, by helping us help them find their way through this very complicated system called life.
Oh, thank you very much, Michael, for being on the program today and discussing FTEN. I think it's I hadn't known it existed before.
Yeah.
And it's really doing remarkable work. It's a really good example of how a community-based effort with motivated volunteers and kind of directors, as it were, can achieve and make some real progress in dealing with what sometimes appear to be very difficult problems. So
thank you for helping us get the word out. Okay, just to end, I would love to just take a look at the website. It's got the links. It's www.fosterteenemploymentnetwork.org. Okay, and thank you.
Well, thank you, Michael.